Tonight, lost in translation, the mistake that allowed 2 international travellers to avoid mandatory hotel quarantine in Sydney and fly to Melbourne. Beach tragedy, 2 fathers drowned trying to save their children from dangerous surf. Return to Earth, a Japanese space capsule lands in the South Australian outback. And tumbleweed chaos, wild winds whip up a harvest of grass to inundate an outer Melbourne suburb.
This is 7 News with Angie Asimus.
Good afternoon. In a shocking breach of Australia's mandatory COVID-19 rules, 2 international travellers have dodged hotel quarantine after arriving in Sydney and flown to Melbourne. Serena Andaloro is in our Sydney newsroom. Serena, how did this happen?
Angie, good afternoon to you. The 53-year-old German woman and 15-year-old boy flew into Sydney International Airport yesterday morning. Now, normally all overseas travellers are met by police and directed onto buses for mandatory hotel quarantine. But remarkably, and police admit this, officers questioned the pair and allowed them to board a domestic flight to Melbourne under what's called standard protocols for exempt travellers. However, we now know they should not have been exempted.
We're not suggesting that they lied. There was a language barrier, there was communication issues, and the police officer has admitted the mistake that he didn't check the appropriate exemption forms and the paperwork appropriately. He's a very good officer, a fine officer, and someone who is very remorseful about the mistake he's made. But that mistake has been rectified, reviewed, we'll move on, and I hope he moves on to have a prosperous career as well, because he's a very good officer.
Now, after the woman and child landed in Melbourne, a security guard overheard the couple talking and realised something was not right. He then contacted authorities and the Germans were ushered into hotel quarantine.
So there was some good fortune there, and sometimes you need a little bit of that. So we're very keen though to have a system that's not reliant on that.
And Serena, have those 2 Germans been tested for COVID-19?
Yes, Angie, they were tested last night and returned a negative result, but they have been tested again and we won't know those results until tomorrow. Until then, anyone who's travelled on Virgin flight V8838 that arrived at Melbourne Airport yesterday at 1:25 p.m. is considered a close contact and has been told to self-isolate. That's 176 passengers and crew, as well as 5 Melbourne Airport staff. But, of course, all this has raised plenty of questions. How could this have happened? And why was it so easy, Angie?
OK, Serena, thank you very much. And Melbourne's COVID-safe summer has been unveiled, with many of the city's restrictions eased. Office workers will no longer need to wear masks, although they will still be required on public transport and in supermarkets and shopping centres. Melbourne residents can also host up to 30 people in their homes.
That's not 30 for lunch and 30 for dinner. That's 30 across the day. I'm sure that will be very warmly welcomed.
Victoria has recorded its 37th day in a row without a new case of COVID-19. Restrictions are also set to ease in New South Wales tomorrow. It means more people will be allowed in pubs, clubs and churches, a financial lifeline for many businesses in the lead up to Christmas. Peter Fegan reports.
Angie, good afternoon to you. Well, the New South Wales government is labelling it Freedom Day, and for many local businesses, it truly is the greatest Christmas present they could have ever received. As of midnight tonight, pubs and restaurants will see the end of the 4 square metre rule. It will be replaced by the 1 person every 2 square metre rule. Effectively, venues will be able to double their patronage. Many struggling businesses will finally be able to trade again and turn a profit. And those rule changes will also apply to places of worship. Church services will eventually look a little bit like they did before the pandemic began. Stadiums and outdoor theatres will be able to operate at full capacity. Big changes to outdoor gatherings too, up to 100 people. That's been increased from 50 and also 5,000 people at organised outdoor events. And Angie, another great day for COVID numbers here in New South Wales. No new local cases were recorded. There were 5 cases detected. They were all returned overseas travellers. So Angie, just a few hours away now until those restrictions are eased here in New South Wales. Angie?
Thank you, Peter. Western Australia won't make a final decision whether to reopen its borders until tomorrow. Premier Mark McGowan says today's quarantine breach vindicates his extra caution.
It's certainly not the gold standard. This is obviously concerning.
WA closed its border to other states on April 5, but has since reopened to quarantine-free travel from all states except New South Wales and Victoria. Two men who drowned while trying to save their children in dangerous surf on the Sunshine Coast have been hailed as heroes. A 9-year-old boy was taken to hospital after becoming caught in a rip on an isolated beach at Noosa North Shore yesterday afternoon. Marlena Wop reports.
Well, the 9-year-old boy has been released from the Sunshine Coast University Hospital following the family tragedy at Tewa Beach yesterday afternoon. The two men, including his father, drowned while trying to save children who'd been caught in a rip after a rogue wave. Bystanders rallied to help the family in chaotic scenes. Brock Harris helped to rescue the boy and pull two men out of the water, plus a third man who'd been struggling.
I haven't really experienced weather in the water quite like that before, and the wind was bad enough to rock the car, so it's pretty rough. It's hard to swim in, but definitely. I don't know how I just kept swimming, I just did.
Brock's pregnant wife Alana also jumped into the dangerous surf, taking a boogie board to help.
It just breaks my heart, and I haven't stopped thinking about the families, like just seeing all the children and not being able to go down and say their goodbyes because the paramedics didn't want any children to witness such a traumatic event.
Brock and other bystanders performed CPR on the two men, but they couldn't be revived. Richard Catbagan and Denny J. Caballa have been praised for their bravery.
They went in there to save the children, and it's a very selfless act. They understood what potentially could have been, and unfortunately the worst of the worst did happen.
Amid their grief and shock, the men's families are heading back to their hometown of Dalby as police investigate and prepare a report for the coroner.
Thanks, Marlena. Rising NRL Canberra Raiders star Tom Starling has been charged with assaulting and resisting police in a wild pub brawl north of Sydney. A male senior constable was injured, while 3 other men were also charged following the 21st birthday party. Tom Saker reports.
Angie, family of the young Raiders player Tom Starling have told 7 News he sought medical treatment for facial injuries he suffered in a brawl last night, but he's now got 7 charges to worry about, including 5 counts of assaulting police officers. 7 News has obtained vision of part of the alleged incident. Tom Starling can be seen in a black T-shirt being held by a security guard at the Shady Palms bar in Kincumber last night, just before 11 p.m. The video shows Starling sitting on the stairs while fighting breaks out behind him between patrons and a number of police officers. The Public Order and Riot Squad was also called in. The Canberra Raiders and NRL Integrity Unit were made aware of the incident this morning after police accused the 22-year-old and 3 of his mates of assaulting police, resisting and hindering police in the execution of duty and a fray. The group had been celebrating the 21st birthday of Fletcher Watson, brother of Knights player Connor. It's believed Knights star Kalen Ponga was also there, but Starling is the only NRL player who has been charged. After getting bail this morning, Starling took himself to Gosford Hospital and photos of his battered face have since emerged. Starling has since been released from hospital and will face court in January. Ange.
Thanks, Tom. It was a perfect touchdown, a Japanese space capsule returning to Earth at the Woomera Rocket Range in outback South Australia this morning. It had collected rocks and dust from an asteroid, with astronomers hoping the samples might provide clues to the origins of life.
The dramatic end to a 6-year space mission.
The capsule is separating or not.
The Hayabusa 2 space capsule created a giant fireball across the sky, and this is what was inside after what was described as a perfect landing at the Woomera prohibited area in outback South Australia. The mission collected samples from Ryugu, a 4.5 billion-year-old asteroid, which will help scientists study the origin and evolution of the solar system.
I'm happy now, of course, but it's more like feeling really relieved, you know. I think we now have lived up to the expectation of all my friends all over the world.
The landing cements Australia's place as a trusted partner in space, with hopes this mission will lead to more otherworldly work with international counterparts.
We're just proud to be doing a little bit to support your team.
Thank you for help. You had to be Woomera.
Your team has been fantastic, so big congratulations from Australia.
Thank you very much.
Elise Baker, 7 News.
Residents of a housing estate in Melbourne's northwest have been confronted by a plague of tumbleweed in their yards and on their doorsteps. As Paul Dowsley reports, fierce winds across the state yesterday whipped up the grass, swamping homes at Hillside.
It looks incredible, Angie, but what a mess and what a challenge to clean up. Thanks to strong winds, dozens of houses in Hillside in Melbourne's northwest are now inundated with this stuff. It looks like hay, and it's come from paddocks which back onto the properties. It's thought to be serrated tussock, which is listed as a weed of national significance and a fire hazard. Some residents think it might be witchgrass, but either way it's causing a big problem.
I have no words for it, to be honest. I don't know what to say. It's a disaster.
Some have done their best to clean up. One resident filled 47 bags with the stuff overnight. Others are leaving it because they think the wind will just bring it back in again, or because it's overwhelmed their property so much that they barely know where to start.
I sent a council yesterday and I said, what are you going to do about it? And they said, oh, we might drop you off some bags. I said, well, you need at least 1,000 bags because I don't think bags are going to cut it. I ring up every year to the council to get this burnt off and no one does nothing about it.
It's not the first time it's been a problem. It usually happens around this time each year, but residents who have lived here for a long time, Angie, say it's never been this bad.
Thank you, Paul. Still to come in 7 News, a charity motorbike ride ends in tragedy on a freeway in Perth. And President Trump holds his first rally since the election, still refusing to concede defeat. That's next.
The wannabe thief, trapped by her own stupidity. Brazen home reno thieves costing us $1.5 million every day on 7 News, Monday.
Save Santa from disappointment. Get his favourite cookies in the whole wide world. Only $1 at Subway.
Right now, you can get the LDV T60 Auto for the price of the manual. Feels good, doesn't it? The LDV T60 4x4 Diesel Auto from just $28,990. Visit an LDV dealer today.
La, 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 la.
It's a scent that transcends time, and it's only $152. Not at Chemist Warehouse, it's not.
This Christmas, get Paco Rabanne 1 million 100ml, $79.99. Or Armani C 100ml, $149.99. Shop in-store, use click and collect, or select fast delivery from our house to yours. Chemist Warehouse, the real house of fragrances.
Save Santa from disappointment. Get his favourite cookies in the whole wide world. Only $1 at Subway.
He's trying to protect the most hunted man in the world, Ryan Reynolds. Denzel Washington. Safe House. Tonight on 7.
A Christmas charity ride has turned deadly in Perth's north when a motorbike rider crashed on the Mitchell Freeway in Padbury. 2 other riders lost control trying to avoid the debris and are in hospital with serious injuries. The crash shut the freeway, causing major delays. It was the 45th year of the Perth Bikers Christmas Toy Run, delivering toys and food for the Salvation Army. United States President Donald Trump has appeared at his first rally since losing the election. It was meant to shore up support for Republican Senate candidates, but he spent most of the time focused on his own grievances. Ashley Mullaney reports.
Good afternoon, Angie. This is the President's first major political event post-election, and Donald Trump has arrived here in Georgia to hundreds of cheering supporters, convinced that he can still overturn the election. Almost like a flashback to the campaign, Donald Trump and the First Lady arrived to a packed airport here in Valdosta, Georgia, a state Joe Biden won by 12,000 votes, flipping it blue for the first time in 28 years. Still, the President was claiming victory tonight.
You know, we won Georgia, just so you understand. If I lost, I'd be a very gracious loser. If I lost, I would say I lost and I'd go to Florida, and I'd take it easy, and I'd go around, and I'd say I did a good job. But you can't ever accept when they steal and rig and rob.
Donald Trump's here tonight to lend his support to two Senate Republicans up for re-election. A high-stakes race that could decide the balance of power in the chamber. Party officials concerned, though, the president's claims of voter fraud could backfire and discourage Republicans from turning out to vote in the crucial race. Almost a month after Donald Trump was declared the loser in the presidential election, his supporters are convinced he was robbed, vowing to support him with absolute belief he'll be vindicated in the courts that have so far dismissed his challenges.
Democrats stole the election, but Trump's got it under control.
My president has a spine and a backbone, and he has stood up for the American people, and I'm going to stand up for him.
Tonight's rally comes as Georgia recorded a record number of new coronavirus cases and parts of the country were put back into lockdown. The president's been laser focused on his own political battles in recent weeks, but tonight did speak about a vaccine on the horizon, light at the end of the tunnel in a pandemic that in part cost him this election. Angie?
Thanks, Ashley Mullaney there. Authorities have kicked off a summer safety crackdown with a blitz on New South Wales waterways. More than 50 police vessels have spent the weekend carrying out random checks on boats and jet skis, targeting dangerous behaviour. Amber Laidler has the details.
Police are warning they'll be taking a zero-tolerance approach this summer as they crack down on people misbehaving on the water. More than 100 officers have spent the weekend patrolling on boats and jet skis as part of Operation Armada, targeting dangerous and erratic behaviour including speeding, non-compliant vessels and testing those at the wheel for drugs and alcohol.
Keep right so it goes along the... Yep, back your tongue to the front twice.
Okay. Twice?
Thankfully, police didn't detect a positive drug or alcohol test during the high visibility operation, but around 60 infringement notices were issued.
Oh, sorry, didn't know that.
They were mostly for speeding, not having the right safety equipment and not wearing life jackets. Police say they're expecting large numbers of people to take to the water over summer, with a huge influx of people rushing to buy boats during the pandemic.
Licence applications are up. Purchase of stand-up paddle boards, jet skis. You can't buy jet skis until October next year.
While this operation ends tonight, police say you can expect to see them out in force off the coast and on our waterways in the coming months.
Thank you, Amber. Sport is next with Mel McLaughlin. Mel, another big star is out of the Australian cricket side.
Yeah, that's right, Angie. But a few potential replacements put their hands up with Australia A today. Plus, the Wallabies hit a high note before falling flat again in the Tri-Nations. And Manchester United proved themselves the comeback kings once again.
We're announcing something big. The big deal is now on at Mazda, and we're putting value on 2020 plate vehicles front and centre, like CX-5 Max from $32,990 drive away. Search Mazda offers today.
Pippin, the Tony Award-winning high-flying Broadway musical, exclusive to Sydney Lyric. Book at pippinthemusical.com.au.
Meet Jim. He's been an Allianz customer for 5 years. So when he had an accident, he called us and spoke to Tina. She made the claims process easy and stress-free. And we didn't stop until he was back on the road again. Jim gave Allianz 5 stars and helped our comprehensive car insurance claims experience get an average of 4.4 stars. To join Jim and thousands of satisfied Allianz customers, search for your quote today.
Enjoy more family time this summer. Take the night off with Hungry Jack's Family Bundle. 2 Whoppers, 2 cheeseburgers, 4 small chips, 4 drinks, 10 nuggets and sauce, only $24.95 at Hungry Jack's.
Every side is the best side of the Hyundai Kona with a $500 bonus during Hyundai's 2020 model run-out event. Test drive the Kona at your local Hyundai showroom today.
Welcome back. Mitchell Starc has withdrawn from Australia's T20 side for family reasons. At Des Moines Oval, Will Pucovski had to wait because India batted first in the tour match against Australia A. Young guns Shubman Gill and Prithvi Shaw both made ducks before Cheteshwar Pujara got his eye back in. India's batting rock made 54 but fell to James Pattinson.
Got him! Out! That man, Marcus Harris.
Pattinson is doing his best to force his way into the first Test 11. In Hamilton, New Zealand won their first Test over the West Indies by an innings and 134 runs. The Wallabies insist they've taken positive steps forward, and last night's Indigenous rendition of the national anthem is certainly one of them. But they finished their first season under coach Dave Rennie with only one win from 6 tests. They had almost 80% possession at Bankwest Stadium last night, but were held to their second straight draw with Argentina, 16-all.
Good men who have worked hard, who've come together well, but I guess, as I've said, we need to see that reflected in performance.
Michael Hooper sheepishly collected the Puma Trophy, but Australia finished last on the Tri-Nations table. North Melbourne recruit Jaden Stevenson says he can't wait to work under new coach David Noble. Stevenson was helping promote heart health today and believes he'll be able to play his best football at the Kangaroos, spending more time in the midfield.
I just want to get in there and sort of work on everything. Obviously, there's a few things I need to work on from last year, and I've been working at those, so hopefully we can build on that and have a really good year.
Stevenson will start training with his new teammates tomorrow. Chelsea are back on top of the Premier League after a comeback win over Leeds. 2,000 fans were allowed into Stamford Bridge for the first time in 9 months. Leeds took a surprise lead after only 4 minutes before Timo Werner had one of the misses of the year.
It's got a flick. Off the other side of the bar from Werner. What it seemed to be going in without his help. It's an absolute sitter.
The Blues dominated from there on, running out 3-1 winners. Manchester United moved into the top 4, scoring 3 times in 13 minutes in their 3-1 win over West Ham. And World Rally Championship leader Elfyn Evans all but gave up the title after crashing out in an icy and dangerous second last stage of the season.
You okay? You okay?
Yeah, the Italian Alps proved treacherous for the drivers, but provided a good photo op for the spectators, which is all that matters these days with the kids.
Yeah, spectacular, but very dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Mel. Well, still to come in 7 News, we'll have all your Monday weather details right around the country.
Telfast knows that hay fever can take you by surprise. Relieve symptoms fast with Telfast, Australia's #1 non-drowsy hay fever brand. And to prevent symptoms before they start, try Telnasal Allergy Spray.
Tonight, I'll be eating an acai bowl with almond granola and organic vanilla protein powder. What about you, little fella? You want a treat?
Tonight, I'll be eating a spicy vindaloo with 10 papadums.
Legend.
Yummy.
What even are you?
A 40-year-old bath mat with a hand up its butt.
Should probably talk about those legs too.
Yeah, right after we talk about your jaw.
Christmas brings out the little kid in everybody.
On Christmas mornings, everyone gets excited to open up their presents.
Running to the Christmas tree, unwrapping, ripping all the Christmas paper.
Even so now that they are older, they're excited about giving me a present, which is great, which I like the most.
100%. There's something for everyone here at Christmas time, yeah.
You know, Christmas is a time for giving, and the gift of giving is one of the best things ever.
You can put a little magic under the tree for everyone this Christmas.
So, your T-Cross, does it come in orange?
Don't think so.
It comes in orange. The new T-Cross. You'll just want one. Volkswagen.
Domino's $5 pizzas are incredible value. 7 awesome recipes, all made with fresh dough, vine-ripened tomato sauce, and stretchier, tastier mozzarella. $5 pizzas, no voucher required. At Domino's.
Discover better buys for kids at Target with 20% off Lego toys. Like Jungle Rescue Base $99 save $30 and Police Helicopter $45 save $14. Offer ends December 9, conditions apply.
The Great Barrier Reef's annual underwater breeding snowstorm has kicked off with a bang in North Queensland. 3 days each year, coral releases millions of eggs and sperm into the water. Scientists say it's the best spawning event they've seen in more than a decade.
When we jumped in the water last night, we were met with an underwater snowstorm of just tiny pinhead-sized bundles containing both sperm and egg.
Timing of the synchronised act depends on the moon, tides and water temperature. Checking the national back to work forecast now. A cold, unstable westerly airstream is bringing gusty showers to southern South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania and far eastern New South Wales. To the capital's Brisbane, a shower or two and a possible storm. A sunny 30 degrees for Sydney, partly cloudy for Canberra, showers and cool conditions for Melbourne, Hobart and Adelaide. Another warm one for Perth, aiming for a top of 33 degrees, 33 also the top for Darwin, with the usual storms. And that is 7 News for now. Our next bulletin is 7 News at 6. I'm Angie Asimus. Thanks for your company.